Money is as innocent as the sun, as debts to pay which one, as debts a catch-22-like situation. The payment of one is the other's collection without a shadow of doubt, a pitiless extortion that'll have us dumped on a beach, bound and gagged, wearing concrete shoes of abstraction. Our muffled cries of Knut commands falling on the deaf ears of a sea that's dreaming of becoming an ocean. And to pay is given all the spin of a question. And by no stretch of the imagination is this a life or death situation. My preference is for a slow death. About this speed. Maybe a bit slower. Bum, 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 bum. Life is good. And then there's living. Bum, 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 bum. Living, a temporary state of togetherness. Death, a permanent state of separation. This is more than enough of a ridiculous situation, without us putting up with living being mistaken for some kind of repayment scheme for money's accumulation. What is this? A life for death situation? Life, a credit to being? But surely not repaid in the living. Life a given, which has been misshapen in this misappropriation of the common fold. In the midst of life, we are in the midst of money, sold. The quality of life, a subordinate conjunction to the loneliest consumption. Death. Death. Between you and me, money. Between you, me. Beyond giving or receiving. A price on your head for not believing. A blasphemy for which you'll cut off your body and leave you dreaming on the street. I repeat, life a given which money has less of a fecund abstraction, I hear you say. Careful, consider the market's reaction. Life, a derivative collateralization. Lives, debts for collection. No prizes for guessing which ones. This innocence, the appearance of the difference in skin it cannot tell as it peels it in the cell. Rise from your money alibis. Money alibis like a bell. Dun, dun, dun. Money is as innocent as the sun. Both losing their shine to this pollution for history come fistery of Mother Nature by her youngest son while holding the gun. To saturation point we are market stricken. A headless chicken money did anoint to the point of no return. Tipping as we burn to distraction this carbon extraction for money's accumulation. Drought nation after drought nation hungry for rivers down which they've been sold. This reoccurring privatising dispossession of the common fold. Fold money, please. Put your cards on the table and walk. This gamble was a fable, cheap talk of weather incidents by and by coincidence untold. The silence of light. Light's silence. The clickless trigger of time's finishing gun. Light. Oh light, what have we done? This innocence, all the graceful elegance of the latter stages of malnutrition. Salivating in the sea. It's like salivating in the sea. Salivating in the sea. Money is as innocent as the sun. The money estate, borderless. The estate of money without horizon. Rising as the nation, setting as the gun, that from which with their lives so many run. An empire for expansion by extraction, extraction for expansion. An empire with a vampire-like reflection. None? Well, one. To be seen in the eyes of those who have run. A gift. A conversion. Civilization to humanity. An opportunity knocking on our doors to see, to hear, to feel, to think, to pause. To pause this calamity of money's laws. A currency that cannot fund wars. Humanity, it does not wash up on shores. It debases this sham sovereignty of bank corruption, see, that put the mock in democracy. A bogey refugee. Byline in history. The headline. A worldwide fake identity scam revealed. Nationality. In which eyes, ears, hearts, minds and lips are sealed, rubber stamped and congealed in blood untold. This earth, one foreign field, forever exhumed of its Midas yield, sold and sold and sold and sold and sold and sold and sold, until we, emboldened, wield worth, weaved to this earth by the quality of commonality that beseeches time to teach us humility. To be dispossessed of this vanity contest of more to the power of more to the power of more to the power of more than the rest. Let us rest from this incessant insistence that we are contestants in a race against time as money. It can be rebooted through transnationality and instituted in a solidarity to occupy the money estate and liberate sovereignty from the banks, from that and any majesty that demeans commonality, and from money as the state of the nation. A money state, a state of abstract occupation. Its collaborators with an amoral sophistication, claiming the benefits of environmental degradation. Their impersonation of border guards done unconvincingly. Show me your papers. Oh, sir, all that paperless paper. That would do very nicely. Would you like these people to touch their toes? While they recount their woes, a selection of lubricants. Blood, sweat, fears. As of yet, though, relatively few so far have run from the cradles of civilization to the cradles of abstraction, where money won the competition of unintended consequences and begun the slow burning sacrifices to the sun. That from which so many will run. Money more ran from than to. To you, to me, a humanitarian emergency, UN declared, resolution prepared, passed, a license to print money, millions, billions to support and welcome every refugee. Hold on, that's an import-export license for weapons and a not-so-safe delivery. Money, I repeat, the price to meet, I repeat, this money is like your death. It's yours, but it can't belong to you. Money, like life, can't be yours, but it does belong to you. This innocence, our presence as absence, to be, to long, to share, to belong. Like the glimmer to hope between the jolt and the judder at the end of a rope, these fingers entwined are holding. Wishbones pulled by water, heaving, water dragging, water so heavy with its obligation to do the bidding of the sun. Sacrifices to our star, not just those cut-throat temples running like a spa, or those to be commemorated generations, to come. No, our sacrifices to that star have begun. They're great, unfolding. But these hands are holding, fingers entwined, though not accompanying a prayer. No, they are God. Both belong to a different pair. And the smaller hand, like fading memories, more held than holding. Solemn, sulky, what a face. Having received a perceived unjust scolding. If you don't hold my hand, we are never going to get across this road, and we are going to miss the bus. Those long nights of ridiculous assurances sought that the sleep of the innocent is naught more nor less than sleep. The supporting and balancing on one tiptoe, ankle deep in bubble bath. As a dog off its lead comes onto the path, in the shade of that precaution taken, maybe there's a sense there. In the chill of that shade, of those wishes not made of thought, bones, snagged, caught in a mind, hopeless, distraught, hooded by water, to distort those holding hands. A refusal to divulge in a deluge of water, pouring like torture, consigned to a blind spot. Just a piece of mind tied. A forget-me-not tied for the peace of mind of the haves and the have-got. That's us what. So do take care. Waiting to cross a busy road. In that vigilance, a semblance there between you, that small hand you hold, and those fingers entwined, as old and as blind as both. Older, uncannily older. Pulled wishbones in water, wishing water like dust to dust. The sun has got his hat on for the parade the returning from this burning to the earth's trust. Held by love. Yes, held by love. These hands are held by love. But it is the hands that are holding with a love defying the sun, defying you, me, this every no one, fit for purpose, terrorist, capitalist, we. The fingers, hands, and the consummacious love, parting, not letting go. Autumn leaves in winter puddles. These fingers are unfolding. That was part one. This is part two. There are some jokes later. No, I don't mean that in a cruel way. No, they came to see some comedy. It's on from the 17th. So I said, come in and sit at the back. I had some the other day, and they lasted about 3/4 of the show that they could see comedy. They were waiting. Very patient. No, there are some laughs in this piece. I'm not. This is part two. Water wishes water like dust to dust. The sun has got his hat on. Is it made of the earth's crust? Money, the conspiracy that has us believing that we are the theory not to be believed. Our credibility relieved of its duty to make believe our truth is beauty. Not just to be seen, to behold, but to be cherished in the common fold. Have we been dangling so long on the end of this line that we've been sold there's no such thing as the common fold, that we can no longer be bold now that life is the penalty? If life is a penalty, are we really dying or just living? And if giving is receiving, can we make the truth and stop believing? Money, the conspiracy. Money, a performance-enhancing substance taken as our absence that's put us in our place in the closing stages of our race. And it must have felt so much like it had all just begun after that last world peace was won. Never again for money to reign in the absolute with the power to mute, to degrade, to starve into submission, decency, humanity and dignity for the sake of money's silent partner, fascism. Money, the conspiracy. Okay, I know that's not quite correct, but it does rhyme with alibi. It wasn't you or me. How could it be we? Surely not I. We're the species of the alibi, from totemic mitigation through prophetic inspiration to money circulation. Not you or me, and how could it be we and surely not I? Money, the conspiracy, an abstract surrogacy, the mother we never had. Oh, well, nature never wanted us, not really, and she is a bit touchy-feely. Joke. Money, the conspiracy, the final frontier of theories not to be believed. I dare you. I dare you. I will if you will. I will if you will. Can it be as difficult as it seems for a species self-domesticating through our shared weekend drinking. Where shadows cast figures and smoke without fire fuels. Money, conspiracy. As theories go, I've heard worse. Would you believe me if I told you it was the premise of a prize-winning verse? First prize, a publishing deal. Oh, some financial security at last. How does that feel? Got the contract in the post the other day. I don't know how many times I read it. I thought I might bring it here to read to you today. But I didn't. No. I tore it up and I threw it away. Why? Well, I'd like to say it was a matter of conscience and consistency, not having those words possessed by money's conspiracy. But if I told you that, I would be fibbing. Because what it was, you see, this prize-winning verse was full of metaphors of keeping the wolf from these doors. And this contract had a clause, a metaphors clause. If any metaphors turned out to be fact, end of contract. And how was I supposed to know some 30 odd years ago the wolf had actually been reintroduced to these shores? Talk about last straws! I am up for that, by the way, but I really think we should stop sucking through them anymore. I thought if I could find out who was to blame, there might be a loss of earnings claim. I visit the offices of one of those firms you see advertised on the TV, no win, no fee. Office? It was a facade. A familiar looking gentleman came in, he had the air of the Marquis de Sade, but he wasn't. He gave me his card. Mr. S. Holmes. Shock. He offered, he tied me to a chair. Started talking to me as you'd expect, like I wasn't all there. But with a werewolf stare, and a voice that didn't sound like him. And I'm not just saying that just because I can't do the impersonation. You got that poker line, everyone's against me, self-flagellating theory look in your eyes. Have I? What conspiracy and lies? I spare me the whys and wherefores. The wolf reintroduced to these shores? I sure. Let me guess, to replace that rampant one, or those 3 lions, with something indigenous, on all fours, with teeth and fur, but not claws. But I said, with some trepidation, like lions, wolves do have paws. No, not paws! Paws! He gestured for me to hand him my mobile. He did. He put my mobile and his mobile in a soundproof box. His voice, his whole demeanour changed. He said, I'm so sorry to come across there like some kind of werewolf Zionist Israeli. I'm not in the slightest bit like that for really. It's a BBC-friendly pretense I'm having to maintain to avoid the surveillance. The surveillance? Anyway, he said I might have a claim. Really. The wolf was reintroduced to these shores. Yes, but not literally. It was an attempt by the establishment to reduce the figures of poverty on these islands to an all-time low. Figuratively. The wolf wasn't actually released into the wild. Such places, a lone parent or carer would always accompany a child. And the poor, well, the wolf, you see, can't be relied upon in the reduction of adult poverty. The prowess of the wolf is somewhat fabled, unless the adult was alone, weak with hunger, and or disabled. And stories spread of impoverished parental acts of selfless heroism. Whoa, that can't be allowed, can it? That might create some kind of moral ideological prison. The poor shown in such a light. Whoa, it might insightful fill minds awash with newspaper ink swill. And who knows what such insight might instill. It might place in jeopardy this unwritten policy vis-a-vis. A chord might be struck that resonates back to that stand that we took alone. When European fascism was gaining currency, alone we faced invasion, ruin and bankruptcy. A people not too big to fail. No financial institutions forthcoming with rescue package solutions for to bail. It's hard to say, it's going to be difficult to hear, but it would appear that it was neither here nor there to this money if we did or didn't prevail. But They only did as the dollar accrued enough leverage to screw down tight that lid on the old world empires of racial persecution and supremacy with a post-war policy of dictatorships for democracy when it suited. And with peace at last came a loss of patience on money's license to pass off them as us and us as them until peace at last recast the shadow of that incredulous class. The common good? Wasn't that an oxymoron? And with peace at last came a loss of patience en masse with money's license to pass off peace as war and war as peace. Still a binding lease with so many prices to pay. Just one that gives the right to say, a people's war begets a people's peace. Loud and proud that phrase can be heard in the 2 minutes without a word. At the annual memory letting stone, 2 minute silence, downloadable as a ringtone. Excuse me. I think we should answer that. As if sacrifice is money's antithesis, beyond measure's praxis, then sacrifice is the axis on which our story turns. Our action spurns alibis, reflections, to follow dignity's directions. So the wolf made itself scarce, so the wolf made itself scarce in layers offshore, salvaging. Tide's not yet rising for money's more, money's more, money's more, money's more, money's more, money's more. Across the pond waited, breath baited, the wolf laid in wait for that sense of wartime predation to abate, and the wolf laid in wait for a generation to translate sacrifice through pomp and ceremonies bait. Bitter batter, bitter batter. Comrades in arms. In the mouths of our leaders, minus the munitions, that expression quickly begins to lose its charms. Comrades in arms! They relish that phrase and how it embalms heroism's inflamed cooperation as war, just as war, as nation, just as nation. Bitter batter, bitter batter, bitter batter. Those sacrifices that were made, did they have a half-life of 30-odd years before they began to fade into a background sound only to be heard? Bitter batter, bitter batter. Pitter-patter echoed those paws through the banks, the courts, the governments, the orphanages, corridors. I heard the royal prerogative was used to get around those child protection rules, and wolves were released into schools. Not all schools, of course. That might lead to a spate of divorce amongst bankers and their MPs. They can deal with that exemption being used to increase school fees. Because what is money for, if not to keep the wolf from money's door? Half-life of 30-odd years. Let's remember to forget. Let's remember to let go. Yes, it was all probably just a guileless collective loss of memory. No unwritten policy, no conspiracy. The establishment were just wary of their media chum, mocking bylines and stickers. Nothing sinister, like avoiding coming on TV to make denials like, these wolves are merely nursery rhyme figures. I don't recall when I was a young man any stories on the local or national news of wolves disembarking with expressions on their faces like they've got nothing to lose, seeking out the vulnerable while wandering up and down our beaches. Well, that couldn't happen, could it? Because we would fight them on them, wouldn't we? So history teaches, in those iconic speeches, with layer upon layer of that plural possessive adjective that reaches to create a sense of commonality, whose, that beseeches time to be a reality possessed of a self-possessing power. Our time? As if time was rebooted for those for whom it had previously suited, time to be instituted in its passing solely in the amassing of fortunes, pillaged and looted, money made in the shade of the empire's parade. Handing out flags poised. And here we are, it's a lovely sunny afternoon and the people are on the streets, yes, flags poised to wave. First comes the followed by the sounds of the masquerade. Ah, there's the regal wave. With the fly swarm past in close formation of early grave after 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 early grave. cheer for the unmarked grave, forever there somewhere. And the creators attempted to wave a cheer for those taking up the rear, the pauper's grave. Eyes to the right, for money's crusade that converts to degrade life, to dig its own. Under the imperial serial, searing, never setting sun, suddenly time became one. Our time, our finest hour, so far. Are we still taking of breaths which were given that we might not be enwaged as the property of that tyranny? Or is that no longer physically a possibility? Has this air, since those sacrifices, been cleansed, replenished completely, so now that consensus sensuality of air that once filled this lung with a commonality, a duty of care for the generation to come, not to bear, not to be enwaged by the tyranny of property? Are we rising with the tide? Are we rising with the tide, or is that just a memory? Sacrifice is agitation to obligate. To agitate, to obligate, to obligate, to agitate, to agitate, to obligate, to generate a generation to create this never again land. Isn't that the seed, Steve? Let's remember to forget. Let's remember to let go. Yeah, it was all. Yeah, let's remember to forget. Let's remember to forget now. That difficult time that we're not ready to face. Not yet. Not now. Let's remember, if sacrifice is money's antithesis, beyond a measure's praxis, then sacrifice is the axis on which our story turns. A generation learns and forgets. Learns and lets go of now, that difficult time that we're not ready to face. Whoa, not yet, not now. Let's remember how it was when it wasn't now. Yes. Oh, just me then. When it wasn't a time of regret, remembering wasn't done to forget, it was how the present and the future met in a resonance of remembrance beyond ceremony. Beyond shared losses of war and peace and alchemy. Let's remember to breathe in, to breathe out, to breathe in, to share. Our breath is the air, but not the other way around. Or we'd be in trouble. Serious trouble. We are. Again, money must reign in the absolute, with a prerogative to loot and to riot through our bodies, our food, our air, our water, our homes, our communities on the quiet, rampaging on the QT, havocing money's insecurity into the lonely family, smashed and grabbed, youthful suicide slabbed. But looting is not like looting our children's future. In no way does it resemble a riot. It is comparatively quiet. Let's go dancing in the streets and defy it. Money, the conspiracy that has us believing that we are the theory not to be believed, our credibility deceived of its duty, to make believe our truth is beauty. Not just to be seen, to be sold, but to be cherished. Let's enfold them and wrap them up in swaddling, adorned with flowers from wreaths, red and black. Don't let them see the courage that we lack. And lay them down by the annual memory-letting stone and whisper lullabies, lullabies of the unknown known. We're not just going to be pictured memories on a phone. Their pride in what you are doing for them carry you with them into the unknown known. There now. There now. And they'll remember to forget. remember to let go of now, that difficult time that we're not ready to face. Not yet, not now. There now. There now is now. It's a gigantic dismembered finger towards the surface of the water pointed. No, correction. It's an elongated, sea-salted, pock-riddled stone. Symbols, a language, a memorial, reminding a tide to atone. Tides turn. Tides just turn. Words, a phrase. Let's we forge et. Let's we forge et. Let's we forget. Let's we forget. Who or whatever they were, their past appears to have been met. Thank you. Money is as innocent as the sun. The first, maybe the final confusion, the equivalence of light, oh, the majesty. In the light of money's appearance, the sovereignty, sham, all that glittering light, without an atom of truth in sight to see. Money, now with its own oath of loyalty, I swear, as a faithful commodity, to bear true allegiance. And this I swear by the almighty compass mentis state of singularity. Money, between you, me, between the I and the am, was spun like atoms. Money's span-spun atoms, whirling in berserker like perpetuity. We have been undone, our threads cut, torn, unspun for the respin of win, 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 lose, 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 panic to choose, shopping din, selling din. Just put it in the bin. Spending grin, just put it in the bin. Selling grin, just put it in the bin. Spending grin, just put it in the bin. Selling grin, just put it in the bin. Spending money like a veil. The I am shamefaced. The I am so alone when for sale. Paying our life's witness to testify as an alibi. I swear to spend the truth. Nothing but the truth. So help me, money. Help me, money. Help me. I can positively identify it wasn't me. I was here in this country. Check my credit card record. There you see. This innocence, a more than unhappy coincidence of increments of less than $1 a day. Bargains, taking breaths. Breaths taken in bite-sized payments to hide. If you are what you eat, what if you repeatedly swallow your pride? Stockholm Syndrome epidemic? Worldwide? This is a hostage situation. You do need to take a side. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Spoken Word person, but I don't know if you noticed, but my seat was reserved. I'm not with these people. So if you need any help tying anyone up, foreclosing mortgages, sanctioning benefits, or just making anyone redundant, or just persuading these people that there's nothing they can do, I bought the t-shirts. Money is as innocent as the sun. Light, giving appearance, as if there's only one. Appearance by the light of money. Prices. Prices. Prices without consciences, obligations, or justifications to reveal. Prices made in the shade of the dim, dumb deal. Prices that aren't consequences to feel. To feel. To feel. Price as consequence. In the headlights of the present tense. Frozen. In a token. Casting a shadow puppet adherence. Akin to the cave wall experience. The Platonic one. Forged appearance. Money, appearance. Appearance, money, money, appearance, appearance, money, paying to keep worth in the dark. Worth, a hostage to money. Money, paying for the disappearance of worth, the abduction of that incommensurable throng, the quality of life's song sung. And the ransom demand? That we keep still. That we keep ourselves to ourselves, that we play dumb. Surrounded. Release the hostage unharmed and you can go free. What? Free? Roaming through the streets of our community? Free? At no point in our history has there been such an urgency for worth to be returned to our hands. But how can we agree to these demands? A catch-22-like situation of negotiation when the ransom is the hostage and the hostage is the ransom. Because worth is our intelligence, our belonging, our expression, no more than the price of any sum. Any sum of money deal, any sum of money that can congeal into prices with a compulsion to steal, to feed money's habits. Because money's got a habit. Money's got a habit so fucking bad, it's surreal. Prices steal each mouthful from parents' denied skipped meal. Yeah, I asked you to eat earlier. Where's your plate? Cheeky. Prices steal light by which to learn, to read. Prices steal food, seed by 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 seed. A systematic kleptomania, systematic, this embodied greed. The price of money, super money, the best money, fabulous money, money for real. So that it would appear than our responsibility to maintain this home's earthly field. Degree by degree, this money price as consequence in the headlights of the present tense, frozen in a token, casting a shadow puppet adherence akin to the cave wall experience, the Platonic one. A forlorn abstraction. Price is just a reaction to the reaction of prices. Reaction! Reactionary money made. Whatever the price is, it suffices. Boom or crisis, whatever suffices. Prices without consciences, justifications pricked by obligations that contribute. The measures being taken as those precious given treasures are being forsaken for money to be made. Made money. The Cosa Nostra like cold silence to conceal the everyday polluting dirty vials for our consuming compliance to feel the lead by numbers of a bulimic like urge that overcomes us to converge in the loneliest of numbers. Appearance, money. Money? Appearance. Appearance by the light of money. Prices in which life is an expendable, spendable sum. In this money power money conundrum, no one is owed a life if no one's owed a living. When lives are debts and debts are lives for collection. Our epochal perception, tales sold by idiot numbers, empty of sound and fury, signifying everything. Everything under the sun, going, neither with a bang nor a whimper, but a peal of bells rung. To call back our pasts among which to kneel, and to wish and to wish and to wish it was real. That carbon fundamentalist denial, the capitalist zeal. Degree by degree, this earth is losing. This earth is losing that holy thing to this innocence. With all the spinning confidence of a blindfolded auction. Could you join me please in putting on your blindfolds? Unless of course you're afraid of the dark, then just close your eyes. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be the owner of this priceless opportunity of a life with a reserve price to find. Do I hear more? More going once, more going twice, going, gone. So for less to Extinction PLC Corporation. Salivating in the sea. Just salivating in the sea. Money is as innocent as the sun. As the pure infusion, it takes the qualities from experience, the light from appearance, and puts them against your head like a gun. Money's will be daylight robbery, the robbery of daylight that's plunged us into this twilight of obligations to those generations. Feel that cold ring, that nothing at the end of a gun. Money's will be done. A sensation of such hypnotic persuasion. You're not seeing anything, understand? The finger on the trigger belongs to the invisible hand. Has someone been making money in the Bank of England when the lights aren't on? Don't try and answer that question. You're feeling so drowsy. You're losing a sense of reality. Someone has been making money in the Bank of England and they've left a note. It looks like it's been written by your hand. And I owe you, Forge. You or I. A debt to ourselves to be paid. Surely that's not something we would buy. That would be like a jury found guilty and given a sentence for reaching a verdict using their reason and conscience instead of just tossing the coin. Okay, it would be like taking the stand to testify on behalf of the person who picked your pocket as their alibi. Yes, they were standing next to me at the time. It would be like the Bank of this land, instructed by governments to create public financial instruments, people's shares, for want of a better phrase, and then being sold in financial markets to raise money that pays off the debts of private commercial banking, for want of a better phrase. And these people's shares, it's the option to redeem, blames lives, claims lives for money's benefits, in qualitative squeezing, seizing the qualities from lives that then have to be lived. Sift through the emptiness of pain, the pain of loneliness, and in struggle to sustain a sense of self-regarding presence, qualitative squeezing, seizing the assets needed to begin and to end the day. I shouldn't really ask, but could you stay a bit longer today? Anguish masked like a blocked drain. Could you stay? Time passing like a missed train. Could you? You could make yourself another cup of tea. The disdain of money, making money, financing finance. Our eyelids are so heavy in this trance-like shame that we have not yet risen to dance in the streets against this illegitimate claim. Austerity, by another name, poleaxing the disabled, the poor, the vulnerable, the young, from day to day, strung up, strung out to pay money's debts behind and before our very eyes, wide shut with an incredulity that denies. Money's will does not have to be done on earth as if this was some kind of eternity-spun speculation for accumulation, incineration, for consumption, for GDP to infinity. This innocence, it does not convince. So Amy said, pull the fucking trigger, come on, because if this is some kind of eternity, then we're already dead. Money is as innocent as the sun. A meteoric collision of concrete abstraction. Beneath this stardust calculating percentage refraction in its glaring shade, qualities, function. In this dark age-like dissolution of worth, it begs the question, is this our world of this earth? The last refuge of money and religion, coincidentally, is the same prism through which to cleanse the eye of humanity in a purity of unadulterated nullity, in which the world is a stage, a phase in prophet and prophecy, and we're not here, not literally. This innocence, life's equivalence, excelsis in extinctions, excelsis in abstraction, salivating in the sea, salted. No, those are the tears that belong to you, me. Money is as innocent as the sun. When all is said and done, an appearance with an indifference to stun, so is it wise to rely on the sea to rise with all the wrath of an ocean in resistance to this dictatorship of accumulation? Its means and ends calibration take nothing into consideration, least of all the dispossessed, impoverished population. Maybe this innocence hasn't, because it can't eclipse our other sun, our conscience in motion. Proletarian fusion, our power to overcome, to not play dumb or keep stunned, but to realise ties that we revolutionise, realise ties that bind beyond spinning alibis, and to rise with a love that creates as it defies capitalism's abduction, capitalism's reduction, its ablution. Come on, come on. Money is as innocent as the sun. Thank you very much for coming along, and thank you so much for listening so well. Much appreciated. Thanks.